Will you lead me to paradise?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Curtis, and today I'm going to review episode 1 of Smoke. The episode starts off with a firefighter named Gustin inside of a house that is on fire, and I must say the visuals during the scene were incredible. Gustin is trying to get out of the house but is struggling to find an exit. It's at this time that we hear one of his fellow firefighters say that they are losing the roof, and the next thing you know, the roof actually collapses near Gustin. It's also at this time we find out that Gustin is actually the only firefighter inside of the building. Gustin attempts to get out of the building again, but ends up slipping and falling on his back. And I can't lie, I thought that it was over for Gustin, but he was able to get up and I actually cheered. Please don't judge me. He continues to walk and he comes across what appears to be glass or a mirror and it begins to crack. He then turns around and looks like the flames are going to grab him, but then he wakes up just before it does. He goes into the kitchen and we are introduced to his wife Ashley, who tells him that he was moaning and groaning in his sleep. She inquires about his sleeping habit and also asks him if he was having a nightmare. He tells her that it was a dream at first, but eventually reveals that it was a nightmare, and it was about the time that he got trapped in a house during a fire. The two of them have a small conversation about it, then Gustin asks her, is it his day to take her son Emmett to school? And Emmett is the basic stereotypical teen that all of the TV shows have. And she tells him that yes, it is his day and that he is responsible for taking him to school every Tuesday. Gustin calls Emmett up and tells him to hurry up so he can take him to school. Next, we see Michelle inside the house attempting to do what appears to be a DIY home remodeling project or a makeshift firefighter training course. I really couldn't tell. After this, she takes a shower, then she gets ready for work, and she makes it inside the office. And then Gustin actually walks in and she introduces herself. She tells Gustin that she was sent by Metro PD, and she was sent to assist because there are two serial arsonists in the area, and basically they need some help. He asks her if she has any experience in arsonist investigation. She tells him that she does not have any experience in that, but she does have a lot of experience in crime scene analysis. And it becomes apparent fairly quickly that he does not want her around, and he's not impressed with her limited resume. He tries to convince her to leave, but she's determined to do the job, so he accepts defeat and tells her to come with him. And he actually takes her to a crime scene where we see a vehicle that has been torched. He tells her to look around to see if she can determine what was the cause of the fire. While she was looking around the car, Gustin actually calls the owner of the car and tells him that he found the car and that he should come down to collect any valuable items that may be in the car. And the car owner tells him that there is nothing valuable inside the car. He does not want to come down. And it becomes clear to me and it becomes clear to him that the owner has something to do with it. And so Gustin smiles, hangs up the phone, and then Michelle is also able to put two and two together and determines that the car was set on fire intentionally. And it's at this time that Michelle tells Gustin that one of the serial arsonists likes chips, and Gustin corrects her and says no, he loves chips. The scene then flashes back 2 weeks earlier, and we see a person who has on a hood and is also wearing a mask going to the grocery store, puts something inside of a bag of chips, and rushes out. The next thing you know, the bag of chips catches on fire, and this actually causes the entire shelf to catch on fire. Gustin arrives later that day, and side note, something I noticed about Gustin, he likes to chew with his mouth open, and it honestly irritates the fuck out of me. But back to the show. Gustin is examining the store, and the owner comes up to him and asks him what does D and C stand for. He tells him that D stands for divide and C stands for conquer. And basically what they mean by that is someone would start a fire at one location, causing some of the firefighters to go out and some of the investigators to go out. And then someone will cause another fire at another location, and then this causes them basically to split, which essentially is what the D stands for as far as like divide amongst the group. And then the owner of the store shows Gustin video footage from the inside. He asks him if there's any footage of the exterior, but it's very limited because there are a lot of blind spots, so it's really not helpful. The scene then flashes forward, and the two of them start talking about the serial arsonist in the area. Gustin tells her that the arsonist set fires to make people feel as powerless as them. The scene then quickly flashes to a little girl who I'm going to assume was Michelle back in the day, inside of a house that's on fire. The two of them talk about their careers, and we find out that she used to be a cop, and she was also a Marine, and it appears that she's dealing with some type of trauma from being a Marine. I hope they touch on that a little bit more. The two of them continue to talk, and Michelle eventually tells him that she outranks him, and that basically she's in control. He has to do what she says. And it doesn't appear that he really likes that, which I'm not surprised because a lot of men do not like being told what to do from women. And so he actually goes to the higher ups that basically to complain about her. But there really isn't much that they can do. Like Michelle's there for a reason, and so she's going to be there until she gets the job done. And speaking of Michelle, she goes out to her car, and we see a quick scene where she and the guy basically are fucking in the hotel room. And after that, he tells her that he did a thing, right? We never figure out what the thing was during the scene, but then it flashes back to her, and she looks quite startled. In the next scene, we see Freddie, who is at work in this pack. Freddie and the crew, they're trying to cook as quickly as they can, trying to get the food out as quickly as they can, but it doesn't seem like they're moving fast enough to the point that the customers, they're getting really upset. They're starting to cuss. They're like, where the fuck is my food at? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, it is not that serious, nor will it ever be that serious to really try to go off on the fast food employees, but hey, that's just how it goes in life, right? But after the restaurant closes, Freddie is informed that he has to open in the morning, and Freddie, who is holding a large pot of grease in his hand, he's very upset because he's like, I'm supposed to have the next day off. But his boss tells him that he has to come in because somebody else called off. And I just shook my head because this reminded me of the many times I had to come in early, stay late, or come into work on my days off because someone else decided to take off back when I worked in fast food. So I definitely understood his pain. And Freddie, he doesn't want to do it, but he eventually accepts defeat and he agrees to come in. After this, we see Michelle working out at the park. The scene then flashes back to the hotel room, and we find out that the guy that she is fucking is married. It appears that they're getting ready to fuck again, but then he stops and tells her that he did a thing. So we are getting ready to figure out what the thing is. She is confused. He tells her that he actually left his wife and kids to be with her, and she is confused. She doesn't understand why he would do something like that. He tells her that he did it because the two of them talked about being together. She tells him that that's just something that people say when they're having sex, and that it was nothing more than a pipe dream. And why does she say that? He gets upset and tells her that he left his kids to be with her. And it looks like it's getting ready to get heated, but the guy ends up calming down and tells her that he will go back to his wife and kids as long as she promises to think about pursuing a real relationship with him. And she gets up and tells him that, you know what, maybe we need to take a break. And I was just like, man, you talk about killing the mood. Y'all, I was not ready for the next scene. A woman is walking through the store when a fire happens. And when I say a fire happens, it happens fairly quickly. Like the entire store is engulfed in flames within seconds. The woman is eventually able to get out, but when she does get out, her skin falls off her arm. Let me say it again. Her skin falls off of her arm. When I tell you my mouth dropped, I was so shocked. And listen, you all do not know me, so therefore you don't know how dramatic I can be. Let me tell you something. If that would have happened to me, I would have done the absolute most. She was too calm for me. That was crazy, right? But Gustin and Michelle, they end up arriving on the scene, and they are able to collect evidence and also find out that the arsonist uses cigarettes that burn quickly to start fires. The two of them go back to the office, and the boss tells them without telling them that they will be terminated if they do not find the arsonist soon. The two of them decide to pull an all-nighter and look through open files and attendance logs. And I think it's very important to note that at this time we see a quick scene of Freddie at work, and it appears that he's thinking about burning the place to the ground, so that is something to keep in mind. Back in the office, they are able to find two people who were missing in action during a couple of the fires. One name is Arch, the other one name is Scotty. The two of them go to Scotty's office to confront him, but he does have an excuse. So he received a promotion a couple of years ago, and he is now an engineer. So he's the person who actually drives a truck. And you should have saw Michelle's face. She was so embarrassed. I was like, dang, that sucks. But after that, the two of them, they go to visit Arch. And Arch is very defensive. And Arch is not able to explain, where he was during these fires, right? And so Michelle starts to grill him, starts to question him a little bit. And then he decides to go down this rabbit hole and go into this racist rant. And I was honestly over the scene at that point because he was doing too much for me. Gustin and Michelle are in the car and they start talking about the milk jug fire. And it appears that the person who started the fire works at a restaurant because the person uses frying oil, which in turn connects the fire to Freddie. And speaking of Freddie, we see Freddie at the bar, and it appears that he is getting irritated because the people sitting close to him are talking very loudly. He ends up following two of them home, and he actually sets their house on fire with a baby inside. And I was like, oh, Freddie, what are you doing? Michelle gets home and she hears a strange noise. She pulls out her gun and starts walking through the house, and eventually makes it outside where she is greeted by her lover boy, Steven. And speaking of Steven, I forgot to mention this earlier. Steven, he is the guy from the hotel, but Steven is also the captain of the police squad. So if you recall, Michelle, she said that she used to be a cop, right? So not only was Michelle fucking a married man, she was also fucking her boss. He attempts to kiss her, and I believe he thinks that he's going to get some pussy, but she rejects him and then he just walks away. Gustin, who is still chilling with his mouth open, arrives on the scene, and it becomes clear to him that the milk jug person was the one who did it. He ends up going to the bar where Freddy was and also the people who were irritating him were, and he's able to get information about Freddy and also the people that he followed home, and that was the end of the episode. I want to thank you all so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. If you could, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. That would be great. I will get episode 2 up as soon as I can. You have a great rest of your day. Bye.